The city stretched out beneath the penthouse windows like a glittering ocean, but inside the breakfast room, the air felt still and heavy. At the center of a table long enough to seat a small army sat two children, identical in their solemn expressions and the dark circles under their eyes. Their plates were untouched, perfectly cut fruit, warm muffins, and a delicate omelette growing cold. The billionaire father paced at the far end, phone in one hand, rubbing his temple with the other. It had been months since his twins had eaten more than a few reluctant bites, and every attempt to solve the problem had failed. Nutritionists with custom meal plans, world-class chefs crafting playful dishes, child psychologists offering gentle games, each one left defeated. The twins wouldn't respond to bribes, threats, or even gentle coaxing. They didn't cry, complain, or throw tantrums, they simply stared at their plates, waiting for something no one understood. When his head of staff timidly mentioned a woman named Emma Ross, a young CEO known for turning impossible situations around, he didn't hesitate. She wasn't a doctor or therapist, but her reputation for connecting with people was legendary in business circles. If she could convince stubborn investors to believe in impossible ideas, maybe she could convince his children to take a single bite. Now, as the sun climbed higher and the untouched food cooled further, he stared out over the skyline, silently hoping this stranger might succeed where everyone else had failed. Emma stepped out of the elevator and into a world of polished marble floors and hushed elegance, her heels clicking softly in the grand hallway. She had expected the twins to be loud, restless, perhaps spoiled by indulgence, but when she entered the breakfast room, they barely seemed to notice her. Two small figures sat side by side at the table, pale faces turned toward the window as if waiting for something far beyond the glass. Their plates were still full from breakfast. She introduced herself gently, her voice warm but light. No reaction, just a quick glance before their eyes slid away. She tried a few playful questions about their favorite games, favorite animals, even favorite colors, but each one was met with the same quiet silence. Then, almost as an afterthought, she asked why they didn't want to eat. The boy's lips barely moved. "We're waiting," he murmured. His sister nodded in agreement, eyes still fixed outside. Emma could have pressed for more, but instead, she pulled out a chair and sat with them. She didn't mention the food again. Instead, she told them a story about a tree she used to climb as a little girl, how the wind felt like it could carry her away. The twins didn't speak, but Emma noticed something, a subtle shift, the smallest flicker of curiosity. She decided then that her approach wouldn't be to force bites, but to build trust, one quiet story at a time. Rain traced thin silver lines down the penthouse windows, softening the view of the city into a blur. The twins sat at the table again, their usual stillness wrapping the room in silence. Emma had been visiting for over a week now, telling her little stories each day, sometimes reading aloud, sometimes just sitting with them in companionable quiet. That afternoon, as she reached for her teacup, she noticed the boy quickly tucking something beneath his plate. She pretended not to see, continuing her story about a lost kite. But when the girl shifted in her seat, the edge of a folded napkin peeked out again. Emma waited until the moment felt right, then gently asked if she could see it. The twins hesitated, exchanging a glance, before sliding it across to her. It was worn soft from handling, the corners frayed. In uneven, childlike handwriting were 5 simple words. "We only eat with Mommy." Emma looked up, her chest tightening. The father, who had been lingering in the doorway, froze. Slowly, in a low voice, he confessed what he'd never told her, what he'd barely been able to face himself. Their mother had died months ago in an accident, and in his grief, he had locked away every trace of her, no photos, no mention of her name. The twins had kept the only ritual they remembered, refusing to eat unless it was with her. They weren't being stubborn, they were holding on to the last piece of their world that still felt whole. That evening, Emma asked for the kitchen to herself. She searched through the cupboards and storage until she found what she was looking for, dusty boxes and forgotten drawers holding pieces of a life once lived. A set of white porcelain plates with tiny blue flowers. A teapot shaped like a little house. Linen napkins embroidered with sunflowers. She carried them to the dining table and began to arrange everything with quiet care, mimicking the way she imagined their mother must have done. When the twins entered, they stopped in the doorway. The table was no longer the cold, pristine expanse they knew, it was warm, familiar, alive with memories. Emma pressed play on a tablet resting at one end. The screen flickered, and their mother's face appeared, smiling as she flipped pancakes in a home video. Her voice, bright with laughter, filled the room. The boy's lower lip trembled. The girl pressed a fist to her mouth. Emma walked over and knelt beside them. "She'd want you to eat," she said softly, her own voice thick. "She'd want you to grow strong and carry her love with you, every single day." The boy glanced at his sister, and slowly, as if afraid the moment might break, they took their seats. A small bite. Then another. The father, standing silently behind them, brought a hand to his face, his shoulders shaking. After months of emptiness, the sound of forks against plates felt like music. The father stayed in the doorway, unable to move, watching the impossible unfold before him. The twins ate slowly, almost reverently, their eyes drifting now and then to the video of their mother laughing. For the first time in months, the room wasn't filled with silence, it was filled with life, with the soft clink of cutlery, with the unspoken warmth of connection. When the plates were nearly empty, the boy looked up and asked a question that broke the last wall around his father's heart. "Can we talk about her now?" The man's breath caught. He pulled out a chair and sat beside them, his voice unsteady but sure. "Yes," he whispered. "We can talk about her every day." They spoke between bites, about her favorite songs, the way she danced in the kitchen, how she always burned the toast but laughed like it was part of the plan. The father's grief, long locked away, began to loosen. He realized that shielding them from pain had only deepened it. Later, when the table was cleared and the children leaned sleepily against him, Emma slipped away quietly. She didn't need thanks, the real victory was watching love take its rightful place at the table again. From the street below, the penthouse lights glowed warmly against the night sky. Inside, three hearts were learning to live with loss, not by hiding from it, but by carrying it forward. Sometimes, Emma thought, feeding the body truly does begin with feeding the heart.